Hi everyone, Caroline here. When was the last time your life changed big time and forced you to start from scratch or go back to the beginning of things? When was that? Which year was it? And what happened? Do you remember? Let me know in the comment section because this type of observation is really important because it helps you prepare for what's coming ahead. I have found this out to be true and I want to share with you why knowing what cycle of life you're in matters. It really, really does matter because when those big changes happen, your life goes back to square one. The changes are so huge and you start literally on some major level from scratch. You know something? Everyone's life changes big time after a certain number of years. For some people, it's 7 years. Some people experience big life changes after 10 years. It really doesn't matter. The number can vary and it's all based on an individual experience. But everyone's life changes after a certain number of years, and the changes that occur are big time changes that rock your world and force a new start. So again, do you know the cycles of your life? Just take a minute and think about it. Think back to the time when big major changes happened in your life. When was that? How many years? Just think about it because it's so important again to make these types of observations. These noticings really prepare you for the future. And somehow, as conscious beings, we really gotta be prepared. You know, we just don't notice these things for no reason at all. We notice these things for a reason so we can better prepare for what's coming ahead. So I really think this is a good thing to know. And this is the reason why I'm sharing on this specific subject. Okay, my personal cycle of life is 10 years. This is the time period within which radical changes happen in my life. At the end of 10 years, something happens so big that radically changes my life and forces me to go back to square one. It forces me to start my life over from scratch on some level. And this usually involves a loss of something or an ending of some sort. And that basically means a beginning is coming, right? But it's usually so bad because it forces a change in my life experience. It's not something like, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting there and waiting for something to gradually, move me into a new space. It just happens like bang. And Caroline, you're gonna shift by force because change is here. It's that type of thing, or at least that's how it feels like. And even though at the end of a cycle, one might realize that the changes were not that bad after 10 years, after you've gone through so much and you're trying to process everything, these changes are not easy, but they compel you into a new level, a new spiral of evolution into the next, and it is necessary as part of the human experience. And these changes are usually not small things. Let me just say that again. They are not about small things. They are about things that cause a shift in your physicality, a shift in your physical location, a shift in your relationship, a shift in your consciousness, a shift in the belief systems that you usually hold. You know what I mean? They rock your world to the point where if you used to believe one thing and you used to hold on to that thing so strong and you would never have believed that you would have left that thing, the changes that occur in your life force that thing to change like, oh my gosh, it is now over. You who used to believe one thing no longer believes that thing, and you're now in a specific space that is radically different from where you used to be. You know what I mean? Even if it's religion, even I was a Bible thumping Christian at some point. You know what I mean? I would never have imagined myself 10 years ago, being who I am right now, having evolved spiritually in this sense. But changes occurred, and they occurred in such a dramatic fashion in my own life that I had to leave that specific reality to move into the place where I am right now. It had to happen because my evolution had to occur and it had to continue. So on some level, my higher self and the universe and everything conspired to ensure that a dramatic thing happened that forced me out of that consciousness that I was locked up in, that I would never have believed, you know what I mean, that I would have left behind. But I did, and it feels great, and I feel so liberated. So these are the type of things that are happening. It might happen for you in a relationship, you know what I mean? Something can just end and you can't just believe, oh my God, this relationship is over. The relationship I had with that person is over big time, and your life is changing like in a major way because of that. I'm not really talking about relationships that just end, and the person just moves away. These are the kind of relationships that leave you feeling like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do? Quote, quote, without that person, even though you don't need that person. But now you realize that you are by yourself on your own on a journey and you have to walk this path alone. You know what I mean? I'm sure you do. I'm sure many people know what I'm talking about. When you just cannot believe it for the life of you, that person, that relationship, that spiritual relationship, that relationship with a human, that job that you never used to think would end, that location that you used to live in that you never thought you would leave, that home that you always believed would be until the day you die, that all those things are over and you now have to begin life afresh and move forward into an unknown zone. And especially at the beginning, that's how it feels like. It feels like you are moving into an unknown zone. You can't think about what the future looks like because you don't know. You have just landed in this new space because the old has ended, that old cycle has ended, and now you have to begin afresh and move forward into this unknown space by yourself and then get it together and just make something out of it or see the good that's coming out of it. It's a time for rebuilding. This is the cycle of life that I want you guys to consider and think about as you look forward into the coming year and also as you examine yourself introspectively to try to see what you need to do in terms of your life experience at this particular time and going forward. These kinds of inner work and these kinds of assessments or personal assessments of self are really, really crucial. Is there anything like that? Personal assessments of self? Anyway, those are really, really crucial. So think about it. When was the last time major changes happened in your life? What was the time frame? Or how many times have those major changes occurred in your life? And do they fit into your specific time frame? Mine is 10 years. Every 10 years, something happens. Something happens, something big. And now I am aware of it. And going forward, I'm going to be focusing on what I need to do because I know at the end of 10 years, it's going to be a brand new thing. Anyway, for me, I first noticed the 10-year cycle in 2001. In 2001, I knew that a major thing was happening because I moved to the United States of America in January. I knew there was an ending coming just slightly before that, but I wasn't really sure how it was going to happen. But then it happened, and in January 2001, I moved to the United States. And then another big change occurred in my life. 10 years later, or just slightly before that, in 2011, I had started noticing that something was going to change, but I wasn't really sure what it was, but I was feeling it. You kind of feel that energy. I knew something was going to change. In 2011, this is when I now became spiritually awake. This is when my spiritual consciousness journey occurred, and this is when my eyes started really becoming open and my belief systems changed radically, and it happened very dramatically, and I even made a video about it, how I woke up. You know what I mean? I was one of those people who really believed that the world was going to come to an end, and I had joined a cult and whatnot, and I was going to die, and I had prepared to die on May 21st, 2011. You know what I mean? The thing was crazy. So I was one of those people who, because I was so into some evangelical ways or some very Bible thumping ways, I had to be moved out of that energy really, really powerfully. And it happened because of my belief at that particular time in something that really caused me to sort of die to the old and completely leave the past behind and move into my own spiritual awakening. I made a video about that experience, man. It was just so embarrassing when you think about it. But anyway, that's what happened. And I may link to it at the end of the channel so some of you can get a laugh out of it if you want to, but that's what really shifted me. It was a life change. It was big, it was radical, and it opened me up to my spirituality. And on top of that, there were so many other things that ended in that 2011 period. So many types of relationships really, really ended. So that 10-year cycle from 2011 to 2020 or 2019 was another period. And then Again, in 2020, after 10 years or thereabouts, another change occurred in my life, and that change also involved a physical relocation. I wasn't even planning to be where I'm at the moment, but I was uprooted from a place where I did not imagine. I could never have imagined myself ever leaving willfully, but it happened so fast. And I'm telling you, when these types of life cycle changes happen, they happen radically and they happen fast, and they're so sudden, and they force and compel change whether you are ready or not. And that's really what happened. And so now, because I know the next year is coming, which is 2021, it's coming around the corner, I'm preparing myself for what's going to be happening. I know it's now a big beginning because my big change has happened, but now I'm so aware that in this next 10 years, a new life experience is coming for me. And I'm right now at a place where everything feels so unknown, so unfamiliar. I can't really see where I'm going because I'm just starting out at the beginning of it all. And I'm going to be sharing my processes about how I'm evolving in this new cycle of my life into the new or into the unknown. But one thing I know, I want it to be different because this is going to be a deliberate change where I'm consciously aware. I'm not asleep to this thing. So I'm going to make it happen the way I need to make it happen, to the degree that I can. So, crystal lovers, tell me, conscious beings, tell me, when was the last time a major event occurred in your life, and what is your specific life cycle? If you know what it is, you will be way prepared for what's coming ahead. Let me know in the comment section. And until next time, keep thriving. I love you guys. Bye.